Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call the professionals. Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
we're
We're
ready.
ready to believe you.
Ghostbusters coming up next. Welcome back to Nerd is the New Cool. My name is Justin. With me, as always, is my best friend, Mr. John Lambert.
How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going really well because we get to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
This
Who are you
is
going
the
to call?
Ghostbusters. It's so funny. We're going to talk about this throughout the episode, but I don't know. I don't know, like, what resonates the most with me with this film series or this like brand, right? It's the 40th anniversary of the movie, but the question that we always start with is like, when did you first see this? What makes it great? But for me, I thought a lot about this. Obviously, the movie was maybe the biggest impact, but I think the first thing I really saw was of this was the cartoon.
The Slimer cartoon? Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that down and I was watching. I remember. I mean, again, I've thought this a million times, but like watching the movie and then watching the way that they changed around that character. Because first of all, he's not named Slimer; he slimes Bill Murray's character.
Right.
But the cartoon, like he's kind of he's a good guy, right?
He is a good guy. He's a totally good guy. Well, and I mean, and through his character arc in the movies, he turns into a good guy.
Right. And I don't want to be sacrilegious. Like I've certainly the first movie is better, but I think I've seen the second movie more times than the first movie just based on when it came out because it came out a couple years later and we were
It came out in '89.
yeah, and so now we're in like, late stages of grade school whereas 84 when this comes out, we're just barely born, right?
I know it. But yeah, I was trying to think of the first time I saw it, and it was. I mean, this is a movie that my parents exposed me to because
Hmm.
we were 3 when this came out, so it would have been something that they would have seen first, and probably my older brother he was 8, so prime age for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was definitely a blockbuster rental of some sorts. The first time I ever saw it, I'm sure I couldn't. I mean, like you, like I've seen this so many times, I can't count.
Yeah.
I didn't need to rewatch it for this, but I wanted to.
Yeah, me too. And I was really happy to rewatch it again. And but thinking back though, again, the cartoon called The Real Ghostbusters that came out in '86, and that's prime
Yeah,
parenting.
that's
That's
exactly.
that's Hildebrand parenting right there, like around 5 to 8. Put that cartoon on, and we'll be distracted for hours.
I'm ready to go.
So there's a lot of information on this film about how it was created. And I don't know if you've read, I read like the entire oral history. It's a 30-year oral history. It was put on by Entertainment Weekly. And there's some pretty fascinating information about like how this project was conceived and then how
Mhm.
eventually it kind of came to fruition. Like, are you at all versed in this?
No, I think I watched what was that Netflix series? The Movies That Made Us. So they did an episode on this, and granted, like that was years ago, but I do remember watching that and learning, quite a few things about this movie.
You
And again, it was kind of like I didn't see the entire season of the movies that made us, but like this episode obviously stuck out. I was like, well, I gotta watch Ghostbusters. I gotta watch Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I mean, and like, so Dan Aykroyd, which by the way, Dan Aykroyd is like the brainchild of a lot of pretty amazing movies and just concepts.
Yeah.
We can get into more in a little bit later on, but like this was his deal. Like he grew up very much fascinated by spirituality. He actually put this together as a project starring himself and John Belushi.
Yep.
And the idea was that at first it was like I don't know if it was traveling through time and space, but basically the idea was they were going to battle supernatural threats. And actually, Aykroyd says, again, in this oral history by Entertainment Weekly, he says, never went to outer space. It was to inner space. Of course, let's make that distinction. And there's a whole thing about him talking about the 23 different dimensions, um, and maybe being in the seventh or eighth. They live in the fourth. Anyway, he kind of gets into it, but basically, like his whole family business growing up was dealing in the paranormal, and his grandfather was an Edwardian spiritualist. And anyway, so his dad wrote this book called The History of Ghosts. So like that's a family like thing that he's just kind of like been brought up like believing in, and kind of wanted to put it into film form, but essentially eventually it comes to fruition because they decided let's do a ghost movie, but let's make a comedy ghost movie, which is really
Right.
nothing that had been done at the time. Sadly, Belushi dies in 82, and so really basically this project is deemed quote financially impractical, but they bring in Harold Ramis, who also has a crazy amount of ties. Like the whole interconnection of like SNL and Second City, which we'll touch on in 1 second, is pretty crazy. um Ramis comes in, he rewrites the script, or at least helps to rewrite the script, sets it in New York City, makes it more realistic, and basically says, "Let's bring in Bill Murray. Let's increase the budget." So him and Bill Murray had done Stripes, which was cost $10 million to make, and he comes into the executives and says, "Let's just make it 30 million." And the executives were essentially like, "Okay, that sounds good. You got Bill Murray, you got Harold Ramis, you got Dan Aykroyd. We'll give you 30 million, and kind of the rest."
Okay.
Right. There's so many amazing fun stories about like Bill Murray. There's a really funny one that apparently they tell that they're filming the movie Ghostbusters, and some random person on the street says, "Hey, you're Bill Murray," and Bill Murray apparently turned to him and goes, "You son of a bitch," and then wrestles this random pedestrian to the ground, and the guy loved it. The passerby was like, "Yeah, that's hilarious to be tackled by Bill Murray for no reason."
That's Bill Murray. That's
That's Bill Murray.
yeah.
Have you heard of the name Richard Edlund?
No. Well,
You probably have.
maybe.
He's a big time FX guy and special effects guy. They bring him on to basically direct all the visual effects. And honestly, the biggest challenge was that they like 80% because of their funding, 80% of their pictures or shots had to be take ones or first takes. Um, there was not the same like there wasn't the FX like budgets that they have nowadays. Like for example, like the terror dog. Do you remember that? The dog bursting in the hallway.
Yeah.
If you look at it, there's a lot of like I don't know. I don't know if you think the FX like stands up. I personally think the fact that it is not perfect makes it better and like
I
really,
think I, I think for 1984 it's pretty damn good.
yeah. I
Personally,
I totally agree.
I'm wildly impressed with the level and the quality of FX, given this is 40 years old.
Yeah, totally. And the movie was a huge hit.
Obviously.
It actually was it was the first number one grossing movie for 7 straight weekends. It went up against movies like Gremlins, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Tootsie. It actually passed Tootsie to become the all-time biggest box office comedy at the time. And then more on Ray Parker Jr. in the theme song in a second.
Well, yeah, no, we'll talk about that.
All right, SNL and Second City connections that I alluded to. I just wanted to throw this out there because um like SNL, it's a pretty fledgling. It's not even 10 years old when this movie comes out, and yet there is like still this crazy connectivity between SNL and Second City. And Second City was a sketch comedy that was pretty much based out of, I mean, Chicago, and then
Chicago.
yeah, and then there's a lot of Canadians involved. So here's some connections. SNL, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Brian Doyle Murray. Second City, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, who by the way was supposed to play Lewis, which would like I want you to think about that for a second. John Candy playing Lewis.
He could do it.
Oh no, I know he could do it. I'm trying to like envision. I keep
It changes the dynamic of the role completely, though.
it
It'd be
totally.
cool, though. It'd be cool to see.
Yeah. And then also Second City had Bill Murray and Hale Ramis. And then there was Second City TV, which is not the same as Second City. That had Rick Moranis.
SCTV. Yeah.
Yes, SCTV. That had Rick Moranis, also Harold Ramis, and John Candy. So there's so much.
Wasn't Eugene Levy on that too?
Eugene Levy is in that
Like,
too.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I was just naming people like connected to
Well,
Ghostbusters.
well, yeah, but like there are so many other people that were involved in
So
all
many.
three of those things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's super cool. Like all of these people like basically working together in some capacity. Um, let's jump to the theme song because I already mentioned that a minute ago. Uh, all right, here's some fun facts about that theme song. First of all, apparently Ray Parker Jr., who ended up creating it, he apparently spent 2 days trying to write this song. But at 4:30 a.m. on, I guess, day two and a half, he saw a commercial for a drain company that made him remind him of a scene from the film. That commercial helped him coin the popular line, "Who you
Who
gonna
you gonna
call?
who you gonna call?
Who you gonna call?" Because apparently that was in there. Um, let's see what else about this thing. It's pretty super fascinating. Apparently, in a 2015 interview. Ray Parker Jr. said he got the idea of the name of the song when his son shouted Ghostbusters, apparently, when basically like watching part of the movie. Like I don't think they actually had they knew what they were, but they didn't have like the name of the
They didn't
song.
have the tagline. Yeah,
Yeah. So they become Ghostbusters. Music video was number one on MTV. There are cameos in the music video from Chevy Chase, Irene Cara, John Candy, Jeffrey Tambor, Al Franken, Danny DeVito, Carly Simon, Peter Falk, Terry Garr.
all
That's
of their friends,
they're all in this,
basically all of their friends.
and they weren't paid. They were just doing this as a favor, like you said, to actually Ivan Reitman, who we'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
And obviously, all of the stars from the film were actually in the movie itself. They
Yep.
actually they actually had to close down Times Square to film the scene of all of the main characters walking out during the music video. I don't know if you knew this, but Huey Lewis actually sued Ray Parker Jr. for plagiarism.
For this,
Apparently, he alleged that they had copied the melody, the bass line from "I Want a New Drug," and now.
uh,
No, hold on. There's
I
validity.
know that song. That's a stretch.
I did a music video to this when I was in third grade or fourth grade on the
Which one? Ray Parker or I Want a New
no,
Drug?
no, I want a new drug to the
The
I got
Huey.
I dropped the microphone to Anthony Kincaid and he caught it. Um, no, I'm sorry. It was hip to be square, but whatever. I want a new drug. Same difference.
I was gonna
Either.
say you're probably not doing I Want a New Drug in
Oh, you're
third
right.
grade. That's
See,
sending the wrong message.
the opposite message you want to send. But this case was settled out of court in 1985 for an undisclosed sum in a confidentiality agreement. So I think that like Ray Parker Jr. was going to lose, and he's like, "All right, let's just cut our losses at this point.
You probably gave him a cut.
Give you a cut, give
He
you
was
some."
he gave him some points.
Yep.
Made him go away.
Song reached number one on the Billboard Hot 100 chart on August 11th, 1984, 2 months after the film came out, and it was there for 3 weeks. It actually spent 21 weeks on the charts.
Awesome.
Pretty amazing. All right, last kind of thing to touch on before we get into like the actual film itself is, Ivan Reitman. I think Ivan Reitman is a huge driving force in this film. He's the director. Uh, he passed in 2022, but again, like there's so much of the oral history about him being a part of this process and really like bringing the expertise to these relatively new people in film because again Harold Ramis and Bill Murray, like they've been in movies, but this was like their baby essentially.
Right.
Uh,
They never made a movie. They've just been in movies.
yeah, and they'd both been a part of Stripes and Meatballs. Ivan Reitman actually directed the Ghostbusters music video, which is fun.
Of
Uh,
course he did.
right. And actually, so there's a quote that says, "Without Ivan and Harold, it would have been no." I think the plea is from Dan Aykroyd. It would have had no shape. Ivan did a good job of taking my whole through line, as Harold encouraged us to do, and keep it alive. Um, And he says, "This is a tough job. That's why they smoke cigarettes, not because I'm promoting smoking. These guys were under the stress, and I wanted to show the stress of being ghost cleaners, what it really would be like." And yeah, I mean, I think you get that. I think you understand, like when you're watching this movie, you get that like they're almost the actors and the people involved in the film are not. Um, I don't know. There's definitely some comedy, but they're not comedic relief. Like they are. It's almost like they are electricians or they're like people that work in utilities. Um,
Right.
and apparently Ivan Reitman was a big reason why like this whole thing eventually happened. So pretty cool.
I like it.
All right, so let's get into the aspects of the official film summary. Three. All right, obviously there's an issue with this. Three parapsychologists, maybe not, forced out of their university's funding, set up shop as a unique ghost removal service in New York City, attracting frightened yet skeptical customers. I guess that is true. Those three are the parapsychologists, and then they bring on Winston.
Winston.
Came out June 8th, 1984. Runtime 1 hour and 45 minutes. Blistering 1 hour and 45 minutes as far as I'm concerned. This
Yep.
this movie does not slow down, and it's banger scene after banger scene. Again, budget of roughly $30 million. It grossed almost $300 million, 296 plus million dollars. That's one hell of an ROI.
So it's a good return on your investment. I'll tell you that much. I like it.
It was nominated for two Oscars: Best Visual Effects, Richard Edlund, John Bruno, Mark Vargo, and Chuck Gasper, and also Best Music or Original Song for Ray Parker Jr. And it was the winner of the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Film for Best Fantasy Film
All right.
in '84. BS rankings, these numbers are wild. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 95%. Yes, warranted. Audience score of 88%. Fair.
Okay.
IMDb 7.8. Get the fuck out.
Whatever. Get
Okay.
out of here. Fuck off.
All right. The Spielberg Award for directing. We already mentioned Ivan Reitman. Besides the aforementioned Meatballs and Stripes and the musical video for this movie, he also directed Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Dave Jr., Evolution, Draft Day. Quite a wild ride for Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
The Tarantino Award. So this was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and also Rick Moranis. Even though he's uncredited, there's like essentially he is like the third writer on this film. SNL wrote 63 episodes. I'm sorry, Dan Aykroyd wrote SNL. Dan Aykroyd wrote 63 episodes of SNL and Blues Brothers, Spies Like Us, Dragnet, Ghostbusters 2, Nothing But Trouble, Ryan Orpal's favorite movie, and
God,
also Coneheads.
bad movie. Jesus.
Yeah. Harold Ramis. I didn't realize he wrote Animal House, National Lampoon's Animal House. It's
It's
crazy.
pretty awesome.
He also wrote Meatballs and Caddyshack and Stripes and Back to School and of course Groundhog Day, which
Groundhog Day.
there's so much about we can, like whenever we do Groundhog Day, we can talk about the Ramis and Bill Murray like conflict there,
Connection. Yeah.
but he wrote that too. Tom Hanks Award. Who gets this one? So, who's your favorite leading actor or actress? I put these three in here. I'm not sure if you wanted to add more, but Bill Murray plays Venkman, Aykroyd plays Ray, Sigourney Weaver plays Dana Barrett, and Ramis plays Egon Spangler. I feel like those are the four main ones.
Those are the big ones.
Okay. Who is your favorite of the four?
I'm gonna go Dan Aykroyd.
Okay, you like Ray. Yeah, why?
Yep.
Can I ask you why?
Because he says it in the movie. So when they're getting ready to like go like when they're on the street and they're putting on their proton packs and they're like the crowd's there and like towards the end of the movie and like Bill Murray or I guess Venkman's like Ray stands, the heart of the Ghostbusters. And like you think about that
Yeah.
And he really is, that really is true. He's the heart and soul. He's the driving force behind the group. Like he's the one that got them started in the first place. He's the one that put up the money to buy the firehouse. But like he's just kind of that person. Like Venkman's the clown who's kind of an air quotes scientist, and he's not along for the ride, but he's kind of along for the ride. Egon's the nerd who's
Mhm.
like figuring everything out, but like Ray's the believer.
Yeah, I like that description of all the roles. I actually I think Ray is a great answer, and I personally was gonna say Egon.
I think
Um,
Egon's great. I think there are no wrong answers.
like I was gonna say, like I think that like obviously having like Bill Murray as Peter Venkman, like is he plays the role that I don't know anyone else can play it the way he does.
He's the sleazy car salesman. Again,
And that's and
Dana
that,
Barrett describes him like
yeah.
a
And that's
game show host.
and that's Bill Murray. And
It's
like
it's totally true.
the most you laugh at this movie is 100% Bill Murray, the things he's
I
doing.
don't know.
Oh, I
Egon drops some
okay.
pearls.
All right. So this kind of makes my point. I think Bill Murray is the overall funniest character, especially because he's playing Bill Murray, like the smart
he's
ass.
and that's his role. He's playing the funny guy. He's playing the face of the Ghostbusters. Like
Right.
he's the one that you're talking. Like you don't talk to like Egon doesn't talk to customers. Venkman talks to the customers. Egon stays in the back and just does his thing, and you just leave him alone.
Well, and some of the funniest moments though are with Egon using. I mean,
Absolutely
if you don't believe that he is such an intelligent nerd to be able to make these devices, then the movie falls apart. And I think that's why it's so great is you're like Harold Ramis plays it in such a way where you're like, no, it makes sense he would have a device you could wave in front of someone's face and you could pick up paranormal levels or whatever.
right,
Like that checks out. I believe that he did invent this and they don't even talk about the technology. That's how much I buy into like
right,
that it could
and
exist.
and some of that has to do with the hair. You gotta admit,
It's true.
it's got
Yeah.
to do with the hair.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. He just pulls it off so well. You're like, yeah, no, this guy's
Oh
a
yeah, I believe that guy. That guy's a mad genius.
and he plays it as such the straight man.
But
And
he's
if
but he's not an evil genius. He's a good genius.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, all right, Ray, so here's the thing we got to think about. Oh, here's what this machine does, and don't cross the streams. And you're like, yeah, man, listen to that guy. He knows what
Yeah.
he's talking
Why
about.
why don't we cross the streams? This is why. All right, good.
I don't know
Point taken.
anything,
Not gonna
don't
do it.
understand anything he's saying. He also doesn't explain a lot, but it's like you're like, nah, do whatever Egon's saying. He's he's just
Right. Like, I mean, we're probably getting ahead of ourselves, but like at the very like when Gozer goes up to the clouds and then the traveler comes or whatever, it's like, oh, they think they won, and like all Egon does is like has this little device and he just shows it. He was like, I think this is extremely bad. That was it. I don't I don't know what he was I don't know what he was holding. I don't know what he was looking at. I don't know why he thought it was bad, but everybody took his word for it. So I guess we do too.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, you're like, I mean, you could have said Sigourney Weaver here. Like Dana, she's great. She's a
Could have said Bill Murray.
so all right. Let's just say that they all win, but I respect that you said Ray and I'm
And
Egon.
I respect that you said Egon.
Yeah, good.
I feel like the easy answer is Venkman. If I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. I feel like
100%.
that's the easy answer.
100%. I think most people would say for sure Peter Venkman, and I respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the other four Jacksons. Rick Moranis plays Lewis Tully. Andy Potts plays Janine Melnitz. Ghostbusters, what do you want? William Atherton, who plays Walter Peck. I think we know William Atherton. He always plays a amazing douchebag.
Especially in Biodome.
I was
Wow.
gonna say, so here are the three roles that he's the biggest douchebag: Biodome, Die Hard, and also Real Genius. He's such a D bag in all of those, and he plays it like swimmingly. And then Ernie Hudson plays Winston Zedmore. I'll go first on this one. It has to be Rick Moranis, in my opinion.
I was gonna say Annie Potts
Oh, I mean, she is.
because she's pretty good.
I mean, she's
There again, not wrong answers. You could say Ernie Hudson because Zeddemore ties it all together. Apparently, most of the scenes were cut out of the movie. That's beside the point. But like, he was the fourth Ghostbuster. Like,
well,
Peck is
Atherton.
the Peck
Atherton.
is the antagonist,
I was gonna say
essentially.
he literally comes in. If you look at like the time he's on screen, it is like nothing.
Minimal,
He
and he was
comes
supposed to
in.
be on screen a shitload more.
Well, you're right. He comes in. He's like, I want to know. I'm from the EPA. Like, what's going on? And within
Oh, you're talking about Peck. I was talking about Zeddemore.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. Winston. Yeah. No. He definitely had a lot of lines cut and things were going on. But he definitely steals the spotlight in quite a few scenes. But I was gonna say Atherton comes in as what's his
The
name?
EPA.
Peck, and he's literally in the room with the Ghostbusters, like asking about the machine. And within 30 seconds, you're like, fuck this guy. Even though he's asking questions that as an EPA person probably
He
shouldn't
should,
be answered. But you're like, this guy's such a weasel. Fuck you. And who
right.
cares?
Like, yeah, the way he was asking Venkman and catching him on a bad day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. So
Agree to disagree
I mean I get
again.
it. Okay, so we talked about those two, and I get Annie Potts, she's so great. But man, Rick Moranis though, that dude is he's every time he's on screen, it's really sad. Not sad's not the right word because he like did this for his family, but it's unfortunate he wasn't, I think, in more things because he was just I don't know. I don't want to like I don't want to like steal from categories in the future, but when he's when he's on screen talking to people, I am like so infatuated with everything he's doing and saying. He's just so funny, and he's not even. I don't even know if he's. I mean, he's definitely trying to be funny, but he's just so nonchalant about it. He's not like Bill Murray, who Bill Murray is clearly trying to make jokes and like be sarcastic and ridiculous, whereas Rick Moranis is just playing this over the top nerd, and and I
Right,
and actually not understated nerd is actually a better way to phrase it. He's not even being over the top. His character is super extreme, but he is just playing it like I don't understand my surroundings and I don't understand like social cues, and that's how I'm gonna play it. And
right.
he's
I'm just
hilarious.
going to divulge, you know, sensitive financial information to this entire party.
Right. Who does your taxes?
Who does your taxes? No, they've got 20,000 left on their mortgage at 13.5%, blah, 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 blah. But they're okay. Really? You're going to say that to just everybody? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for airing my laundry. Anyways.
Backup singers. Larry King plays himself. Casey Kasem plays himself, which is as a voice. Reginald Johnson plays the jail guard. We know him from Die Hard, Family Matters, a bunch of other stuff. Debbie Gibson plays the birthday girl. Apparently, she was unaccredited, but she's in that. And finally, Ivan Reitman does the voice of both Zool and Slimer.
It's Reginald.
You know, I agree. I would say that when he was in there, I was like, holy shit, I forgot he's in this movie.
Yep. Totally
Now
forgot it was.
now
Yeah, he
now
had one line.
now
Love it.
there is a moment though when we were watching the movie, Jan and I were like, man, Casey Kasem, man, talk about like a moment in
The
time,
voice of an angel.
a voice of it like decades, where you're like Casey Kasem, that guy.
AC Kasem's top 40
Yeah, yeah,
every weekend, every Sunday.
right. And as late as getting into like Sirius XM, like he was around for a very,
He
very
was
long.
around for a long time.
John Williams category, Elmer Bernstein or Bernstein. He basically does the music for this. He began composing films and TV shows in 1951. Has 238 credits. That's a fucking crazy amount. So like
That's a long.
here are the like listen to these movies that he has composed. Like the Ten Commandments, which feels like it's from a different era. It doesn't feel like
Yes, it was.
okay, it doesn't feel like it actually is from a different era.
It actually is.
Other ones that are from that era, Magnificent Seven, To Kill a Mockingbird, The
Love
Great
it.
Escape, the original True Grit. And then he gets into the 80s and he does Stripes, Trading Places, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos. And then he jumps into Cape Fear and Wild Wild West like in the
But
90s.
all those movies had great scores. Like
Yeah.
Stripes music was great. Spies Like Us was awesome. Three Amigos was fantastic. Like
Mhm.
they all were good.
I
Trading Places were good, but like those, like yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think Cape Fear is actually incredibly powerful. It's got that like big time like low. I don't know if it's like a piano melody where it's like it's very menacing. Uh,
Hmm.
and then he wins an Oscar for Best Music Original Score for Thoroughly Modern Millie in 1968. Do we think this is the peak for him? He did win a Best Oscar, but like I've never heard of that movie before in my life.
Me neither. Um, I think we should probably broaden the scope and be like the 80s. Well, fuck. Original Magnificent Seven, To Kill a Mockingbird,
Ten Commandments. I mean, yeah, it's kind of tough. I do think of all these
The
movies.
Great Escape.
I mean, the question is like, what of these films do you remember the score from? And for me, it actually might be Cape Fear, which is crazy. I don't know. I could also be argued. I could also argue Spies Like Us or Trading Places. Like I can like hear
I can
those.
hear Stripes too.
Yeah, that's actually probably true. All right, let's just say 80s.
All right.
Okay. So scenes centered out on I didn't do what I normally do. I actually went through like my favorite scenes because there are a lot of really good scenes in this movie, but I didn't want to do every single scene.
I wrote them all down.
You wrote every scene down?
Most of them.
All right, so I'll just go through them, I guess, or do you want to go through them and I can like tell you the ones that I earmarked?
Sure, yeah, I can go through them. So
Okay.
we've got scenes. We've got Pete's air quotes research with the students, the electric shock therapy. Then we have the
I
library,
wrote down paranormal studies.
paranormal studies. Yeah,
And the whole basically let's just say shocking. Him shocking the dude and lying to the girl.
and not shocking the girl. That's I mean that is that scene. And then I have the library, the whole library scene.
Yep.
Like, and that's not really a scene. That's more of a sequence where she gets scared, they go. But not even. I don't even think I discount her getting. I think I discount her getting scared because that's before. That's pre-credits. I
I
have
wrote down
them going to the library.
library before and after.
Yeah. Finding the firehouse,
Hmm.
and then I have Dana's apartment, just with Dana, and then Dana finding the Ghostbusters, and then going back to her apartment with Venkman.
So, real quick, I think it's important to like distinguish that it's Dana and Lewis is actually who we see first, the interaction of them in the hallway,
Yeah.
and then Dana watches the Ghostbusters commercial, and like you just said, yeah.
Right. um, and then we got one.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that, the hotel, like the whole, like that's a very long scene, but like that whole scene, and then you have the montage, the ghost busting montage.
Yep.
um you have Winston. I did Winston slash EPA because that's basically the same, like he interviews and the EPA shows up.
Yep.
Dana getting possessed,
Those are the exact words I wrote down. So yes.
Vince getting possessed, and no one at the restaurant reacting at all to him getting eaten by the dog.
And
I had to
Lewis,
write that
Yeah,
down. Oh, I guess Lewis, not he turns into Vince.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then I've Venkman going to Dana's apartment, and it's actually Zool. There is no Dana, only Zool.
I wrote down quote, "Are you the keymaster?" Which is that whole back and forth
Yeah,
between.
and then slams. Yes, I am. um, the gate, and then I did Gatekeeper and Egon because
Hmm.
of their interaction.
Hmm.
The EPA shutting it down, plus the ghost montage of all the ghosts running amok and everything like that. I have jail, then meeting the mayor.
Hmm.
Then I say goes around one, which ends with her like on the like aim for the flat top, and then whatever. And then I have the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. crossing the streams, and then I wrote down Peck getting doused by marshmallows
Yeah. Okay.
because I had to put that one down. And then obviously the end scene, like the very very like the
Right.
very
Credit scene. Yeah.
the credits basically.
So I only had one extra one to add, which is all again part of the roof stuff, but like right before that's the taking of the stairs. I really laughed. I laughed again pretty hard at that.
I thought about doing that one. All right.
Because it's
Let me know we're in the teens. I'm gonna throw up.
like what a fun little addition to that. They could have easily just hopped in the elevator and gone up, but if you think about like what really would be happening, they would have to take the stairs, and it's like
Well, and yeah, they wouldn't trust the elevator. They'd have to go up the stairs.
got these packs on. It's like, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
fucking brutal.
Yeah, you can't trust an elevator. You're gonna take the stairs. You're gonna hoof it the whole way.
So this is a real quick side. I want to get ahead of like, sorry, I know nerd thoughts. I'm just gonna ask you right now, like, how old do you think? How old are the guys? How old is everybody? 30s?
30s.
Low to mid 30s?
They're in their mid 30s. Yeah.
Okay. So
Because
I'm
you think about their, I mean, they did their grad work. They did their and they have PhDs. So that's undergrad, post grad, PhD.
okay.
They were obviously like Ray references being in the private sector. Now they're in public. So like these guys are relatively like established in their careers. So yeah, they're definitely mid 30s. And just looking at them, they look like they're in their 30s.
So probably like close to like what they actually are in real life. So they're probably in their
Hmm.
mid 30s, late 30s, whatever. Okay.
Right.
So a couple of them are actually in their early 40s. So like I'm not as fit as I was a couple years ago, but like I cannot imagine watch like hiking 20 like stories or flights or whatever with the backs on your backpack and anyway.
I was in better shape in my 30s than I was in my 20s. I could probably do it. I could have done that no problem.
No, no, I'm saying like now, like if they're
Oh,
being
now no, but then like
I was
8 years ago, absolutely.
you too. That
I
was
could have done that with bells on.
that was the peak of my fitness besides senior in high school. So
Yeah,
um
true.
all right, after having said all of that, my I'll start with my favorite scene. I mean, am I allowed to group together just the whole roof battle? I mean,
I
that's
think so.
okay. Well, that's my answer. The whole
I
roof
think
battle.
so. Um,
I think it's got a mixture of seriousness. Obviously, it brings in the paranormal. It's like the big bad, but then you got the Stay Puffed and like making fun of Ray. I mean, there's just so many elements that like
there
last.
are a lot of elements.
I mean, they're pretty great.
I'm gonna do the hotel, the first encounter. And the whole thing, like we got one, like ringing the bell and
And the
going
montage.
down, and then getting there, and then Bankman getting slimed, the whole ordeal, even up to and including like the invoicing of again Egon being Egon, like doing the five and then the one, like it's brilliant.
Yeah, we can just put him right back in there if you want. No, 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 no,
Oh no, no, no. Yes,
no.
we can, Dr. Bankman.
Mr. So and so, we promise the room will be ready as promised.
Good luck with that.
And of course, Bill Murray's like, I don't know the research behind this, but I'm sure that it's fully unscripted. He says, I always want to do this, and tries to pull out the.
The flowers are still standing.
All right,
Okay, it's okay. The table broke the chandelier's fall. So
that
terrible.
is actually
Awesome. I love it.
a good scene. Yeah. Okay. The Heath Ledger Award, Bill Murray or Rick Moranis are my two nominees,
I put Egon on there as well.
and Harold Ramis. Okay.
I put Egon, but I mean there is one answer.
I mean, I think that it is Bill Murray, but okay,
It's Bill Murray.
okay, it is Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
I want you to think about though. I agree with you. I'm saying Bill Murray for sure. But when Rick Moranis is on the screen with Harold Ramis, I'm looking at Rick Moranis way more than I am at Harold Ramis.
Do you want some coffee? Yes, have some. Yes, have some.
Also, I mean, it's
He's
pretty.
sniffing like the jar of popcorn and just yeah, he's totally getting into it.
I
I
mean, I
love
think
it.
Rick Moranis. I actually wish he was on in more scenes with Bill Murray. I think that that would have been a pretty fun, like yin and yang, I guess.
That would have been interesting, but like I get why they did. I mean, they couldn't do that,
Right.
like just
Oh,
because of
no.
like the script and the plot line. That was never that was. But I liked the interaction between like the clearly possessed guy and the nerdy scientific Egon of like it's so like and even like Annie Potts like so thoughtful you're taking in that man. I don't think he's human. Just
Yeah, Harold, I wouldn't have a category for this, but Harold Ramis may be like the most underrated person in this movie.
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
think he is the sneaky comedy relief for this movie.
Egon's definitely my favorite character in the cartoon, besides Slimer.
Besides Slimer.
Dante's Peak, first nominee, movies about ghosts. So I've got some names here and obviously years. But I'm curious, like movies about ghosts, like what would like initially like what do you think about?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is Ghost.
Okay, Ghost is on my list, yes.
And then honestly, I lean horror movies.
hmm
Like Paranormal Activity was on my list. Poltergeist freaked me the fuck out. All the Conjuring movies are horrible, and I will never see them. And I still have never seen them. Um, Beetlejuice, obviously, a
Yeah.
big one. Sixth Sense, and then you can get crazy with it. Like I wrote down Angels in the Outfield because that's a
Oh,
movie about
yeah.
ghosts, and then Field of Dreams, also about ghosts.
You
But then
are
you can get into like
good.
you can get into other stuff like Scrooged. Love that movie. Another Bill Murray, also about ghosts. And then, but mostly like I instantly was like, there's a ton of horror movies that have to do with ghosts, obviously because of the subject matter. But then there's those sneaky other ones that are like, oh yeah, it's about ghosts too, and like, oh, there's ghosts in that too. Like The Frighteners, obviously, also about ghosts.
You have said almost every movie I have on here. And
Cool.
so I, I'll say The Shining and Poltergeist are like early 90s.
Yeah, Poltergeist for sure. That movie freaked me out. I hated it.
In 84, Beetlejuice in 88, Pet Cemetery is 89.
Oh, that's a good one.
Field of Dreams is also 89. I like again, like good ghosts versus bad ghosts.
Right.
Uh, Ghost is in 1990, Frighteners in 96, Sixth Sense in 99, and Coco. I, let's not forget about Coco. Twenty
And
seven.
Casper the Friendly Ghost. Casper.
Casper, that's in the
Don't
early
forget about Casper.
like mid early 90s. But I do think there was like a really good all right, so I think maybe it's important to like make a distinction like bad ghosts versus good ghosts. And if we're talking like good ghosts, it's probably Field of Dreams or
Or Ghost,
or
because Ghost, like he's a good
or
like
Ghosts. Yeah.
Patrick Swayze is a good ghost, and but those are around the same time, aren't they?
Yeah, it's 89. Let's just say 89 90. That's actually a pretty
Yeah,
good.
for
Because
good
Pet
ghosts.
Cemetery and Beetlejuice. No, I mean across the board, like ghosts friendly or not. I think
Yeah,
they
because I guess like Gina Davis, they're good ghosts. Like Beetlejuice is kind of a fuck up, but like everybody else is good ghosts in that
yeah.
movie.
I think 89 90 is actually or late 80s, like 90s. Like that's the sweet spot of like
That's a sweet spot for like comedic ghosts, good ghosts.
so this next one is theme songs with the title in it.
Well, what about bad ghosts?
Oh, all right, let's do Bad Ghost then. I think that's honestly
It's an easy answer.
I think it's probably it's an easy answer, really.
I think so.
I think it's
Based on what I have on my list, I think it's an easy answer for the heightened popularity of bad ghosts. It's The Conjuring. It's now.
oh man, yeah, I mean I
It
guess
is now. It
it's
is.
not that is it not
I don't think
uh
Paranormal Activity is one thing.
Blair Witch Project?
That's one thing, but like I think those types of like The Conjuring and all those movies, like The Devil with like all the like they are so uber popular right now. Like the last probably 10 years. Just
I
people
do
can't get enough of them.
no, I do think like the like since like movies like um I don't know. I think in the late 90s you have Blair Witch Project. You also have
All the paranormal activities.
Paranormal Activities. What's the movie about the girl in the well? What's her name?
The Ring.
You have all of these supernatural, you know, films basically and like storylines, and I think that it kind of flips the switch in horror where it's not like I don't know, it becomes like part of mainstream, right?
Exactly. It's totally mainstream now.
People love like two different areas of like horror basically or paranormal stuff, and it's like gore, like shock and awe, or it's like the thriller.
The psychological stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually it becomes more prevalent like as we go because people are just digging like they're super into it. But like in the early 80s, like that wasn't even a thing. No one like that wasn't a thing that people did. Like,
No, it was slasher films. It was Freddy. It was Jason. It was Hellraiser. It was those kind of movies.
yeah. All right.
All right.
So
Theme song.
theme song with, but again, this is with the title in it. And here's why I was very specific is that we're gonna do theme song, but we're gonna have an episode moving in the next couple weeks or months or whatever about Footloose. And even though that answer could be in this category. Footloose has a much bigger like reach as far as like popularity of theme song, right?
Yeah. All right. All right. I have so many written down for this. It's amazing.
Okay. So, uh,
Can we just start right off the bat? Can I say one right off the bat?
no, you go first. Go ahead.
Every single Bond movie ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Because they make a song for like I think Tina Turner Goldeneye. Like, but then like Adele with Skyfall, like every single one of them has a theme song with the name of the movie in it.
Yeah, you're right. And some of them won Academy Awards.
I
So,
know. And they're all genuinely good
all
because
right.
it's a
So,
Bond movie.
so let's remove all the Bond
That's
songs.
fine. I just wanted to put that off. I just wanted to put it out there. I was like I started thinking about it. I was like, it's every single Bond movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That honestly Bond is probably the winner. So let's take those out.
All right, we'll exclude them. That's fine.
So my nominees are again Footloose, I already said it. Ghostbusters, this movie. Shaft by Isaac Hayes.
Yeah. Yep.
Streets of Philadelphia by Bruce Springsteen.
All right.
The Heat of the Night by Ray Charles. New York, New York by Liza Minnelli. 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. And
It's on my
finally,
list.
finally Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution.
Also, also, and the Revolution, also on my list. The Never Ending Story
Oh, yeah, okay.
is also another one. Um, some of these, like Purple Rain, was on my list. Like some of them, like it's towing the line. Like Pretty Woman is kind of like a because the song was out there before the movie was made. So like, does that count? Whatever. Like, and you could say the same thing with like Saint Elmo's Fire, Pretty in Pink, Stand by Me, one that thing you do.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That was high on my list.
Yeah.
What else do I have? Oh, I have to do this one. Shout out Barnhart, my defensive hockey partner, Wild Wild West,
Sure.
and Men in Black,
Yeah, yeah. Good call.
and La Bamba, and Weird Science. And then the last two that I will mention are The Last Dragon and Mortal Kombat. The first one.
Dun, 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 dun. Man, that is a pretty extensive list. It's pretty hard to choose. I do
I
think,
mean, I know my choice.
well, I think that like the late 80s and early 90s is really when they were like the song becomes synonymous with the film or vice versa. Like you just,
Right, because like again, you have like Footloose and you have La Bamba. Like
yeah.
the song was around before they made the movie, so like, does that really count? Like
Well,
it does, it doesn't. Like,
yeah, I think that if the
you know what I
song,
mean?
I think the song already existed. It's nice that it's in the movie, but I think that if it's for me, like I was thinking like this is like inspired by
Original.
the film originally.
Original. Like Wild Wild West would count. Men in Black would count.
Right.
The Last Dragon, Mortal Kombat. Like those are original songs that were made
Ghostbusters,
because of the movie. Ghostbusters as well,
yeah, Shaft, obviously. Um,
obviously.
nine
Nine
to
to five.
9 to 5 too. Yeah, yeah. Um, actually, I think that Streets of Philadelphia is my vote only because it's early '90s, and I think this is like when artists were purposefully writing songs to coincide with films. Now it just happens to be like the title is actually in the
Yeah,
song.
that's when soundtracks were good.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Like I think like the Batman Forever soundtrack. Terrible movie, awesome
Yeah,
soundtrack.
but Kiss by a Rose is basically written because of
I
like
know.
itself.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that time period, like early like 93, not early 90s. For me, as far as like peak of writing a I don't know if I want to say peak for writing a song for the
But
movie.
it was, but that's when you like when you had the soundtracks when you would when you would walk into a music store and buy us, and it'd be music inspired
Yeah.
by the movie, and like that was the soundtrack. It wasn't anything that they pulled like it wasn't like a Forrest Gump where it was everything that was already there, and they just kind of just got all these awesome songs. It was all original music that was inspired by the movie.
Yeah, having said that, though, it's hard not to pick Footloose. So I could go either way. You could argue either way for me. What do you got?
Okay, so I will again. I will shout out Barnhart, and I will just go ahead and pick Wild Wild West
Fair. Yeah.
because because why not?
I mean, just wrap Wild Wild West in there with Men in Black. Like it's basically like one year
It's
after.
basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to that thing you do as well, though, because I love that movie.
Might be my favorite, honestly. Like
It's
I
probably my favorite out of all of them, and then Megan would shoot me if I didn't mention The Last Dragon because it's Bruce Leroy.
yeah, I don't really know that song very well though, so
It's on at the very, very, very end of the movie.
I mean I know the song. It's not one I think about often.
It's not, but like it's not like a chart topping song like Ghostbusters for Ray Parker Jr. or Nine to Five or Footloose or like Wild Wild West was for Will Smith, Men in Black for Will Smith. Like it's a song in the movie that has the movie title in it, but it wasn't a
Yeah,
mainstream success like those other movies were.
yeah, totally agree. All right, Harold Ramis. So I kind of broke this down on like basically like when he's the writer for a lot of these movies. He's actually an actor in a few of them, but like writing credits for Harold Ramis is like kind of a big deal. So he writes Animal House in 78, writer for Meatballs in 79. He wrote Caddyshack in 80, writer and acted in Stripes in 81, this in 84, obviously both. He wrote Back to School in 86, which we all know you and I both love.
Yes.
He wrote Groundhog Day in 93, Analyze This in 99, and also Bedazzled in 2000. That's quite a hell of a writing.
That's an underrated movie.
Bedazzled? I love Bedazzled.
I love it. I love that movie.
So after all that, I actually think this is his peak for me.
I mean, it's hard not to say this is. I mean, those are all like he had a really good run. Let's agree on that. But it's hard not to say that this is his peak.
Yeah, and if you're talking about like some of the best comedies of all time, especially in the 70s and 80s, you cannot look at a single list that doesn't have Animal House, Caddyshack, Stripes, and this movie on it. And
I know.
he wrote all of them.
And he wrote all of them.
It's crazy.
Good on you. Rest in peace.
Dan Aykroyd, yeah, exactly. Dan Aykroyd is a little bit harder, I think, because he's got some writing credits, but also some acting credits. I actually like leaned into more the acting as
Yeah.
aspect of it. So he was on SNL from 75 to 78, Blues Brothers in 80, Trading Places in 83, this in 84, Spies Like Us in 85, Dragnet in 87. Like I could probably stop there, but there's some good ones after that. So I'm gonna keep going. Great Outdoors in 88, Caddyshack 2 in 88, Ghostbusters 2 in 89. He's then nominated for Best Supporting Actor for an Oscar for Driving Miss Daisy in 89. Also, My Girl 91, Sneakers in 92, Coneheads in 93, Tommy Boy in 95, and then Gross Point Blank in 97. He's been in a few things since then, but like I feel like that's when he
Yeah,
kind of
that's what. But like after that, it started becoming like it wasn't cameo roles, but it was like it was smaller roles.
pretty close to cameo roles for sure.
Yeah,
So you go first on this one. I kind of have an answer,
I don't know.
but
I don't know.
well, I think
It's
it. Go ahead.
it's not this. It might be this. It might be this.
I mean, if the question is like, what do you know Dan Aykroyd the most from? Is it this?
Probably.
I think that if you're talking about his acting credits, which is, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of Driving Miss Daisy, so I'm not sure I agree with him being nominated for that. He deserved it, but also like that movie kind of sucks, like in hindsight. Uh, for me, it's actually probably Dragnet or Great Outdoors. For me, it's the late 80s.
He was good in Dragnet.
But I think if you were to gun to my head, what do you know Dan Aykroyd the most from? I probably actually would say Trading Places.
Yeah,
I think he's so good in that movie. So that's not the right answer. That's why I know him the best for. I think the answer actually probably is if it's not this, it's definitely late 80s because Ghostbusters 2 is also in there. Academy Award nominee. Caddyshack 2, even though it wasn't critically acclaimed, like his role is pretty well known. Um, and again, Great Outdoors and Dragnet. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Last peak to nominate Bill Murray.
Zombieland. All right, we're done. No,
Done.
I'm
Move
just
on.
kidding.
So he's got a really fascinating career, and we could go into like all like super in depth about like all of the stories about him, just the things he's done off camera, and even like the apparently like he's really hard to get actually on screen because you have to leave a message on a voicemail that he reads and or listens to and maybe shows up. Even this movie, there's stories about him. They weren't sure he'd actually show up for
On day one. Yeah. No.
they,
Yep. I remember that.
so he's in SNL, starts in in 77, Meatballs in 79, Caddyshack in 80, Stripes in 81. I mean, this is like a murderer's row. Tootsie in 92 or 82. This is in 84. Little Shop of Horrors in 86. Scrooge in 88. The sequel to this movie in 89. What About Bob in 91. Groundhog Day in 93. Kingpin in 96. Space Jam also in 96. Rushmore in 98. Royal Tenenbaums, I had to put that on there, 2001. And then he's nominated for Best Actor for an Oscar in 2003. I think I have a personal peak for me, but I'm not sure if it goes in the same like area of the lexicon of like how do you know Bill Murray? So I'll just say I think that his peak is actually Groundhog Day in 93.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay. All right. Well then, not much of a conversation. Yeah,
That's that. I was gonna say Groundhog Day.
I think his best acting is actually in What About Bob, personally. And as far as like his impact on
It's
comedy,
not. It's not. It's not Life Aquatic.
I mean, he's great in Life Aquatic. I mean, Steve Zissou is incredible, but he's so fucking good in What About Bob? But anyway, so yeah. All right, Bill Murray. Quoth the Raven. Let's take turns on quotes. So I'm gonna start with Dr. Peter Venkman. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
So I wrote down a ton for this. So this was Venkman and Egon at the library. This reminds me of the time you tried to drill a hole in your head. That would have worked if you hadn't have stopped me.
I mean, these quotes are hard because there's a lot of back and forth, like
There is
actually.
a lot of back and forth in these. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna get to the punchline on some of them. Winston says, Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say
You say
yes.
yes. You're right. No humans would stack books like this.
Let's see. Okay, the Egon and Spang. This is Spangler and Ray and Peter also going back and forth. All three of them. Uh, Try to imagine, or was it? Or Venkman says, "What do you mean bad?" Talking about crossing the streams, and Spangler says, "Try to imagine all life as you know it, stopping instantaneously, and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light." And Venkman says, "Right, that's bad. Okay, all right. Important safety tip. Thanks, Egon."
Well, I mean, this is I have honestly I have a lot of Egon. I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Venkman, we've been going about this all wrong. This Mr. Stay Puft's okay. He's a sailor. He's in New York. We get this guy laid, we won't have any trouble.
So this is a back and forth between Egon and Janine. I
Hmm.
bet you like to read a lot too. Print is dead. Again, like just the like he just like Egon cuts like a knife throughout the entire movie, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. This man has no dick. Sorry.
So in the so two, I'll do two real quick. In the elevator, it's like, oh, someone saw a cockroach on 112. That's got to be some cockroach. Bite your head off, man. And then they're in the elevator and they're talking about like each of us is, wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on its back. It's like, all right, it's like we haven't successfully tested this. I blame myself. So do I.
Yeah, their relationships are pretty great. Janine, your favorite. I've quit better jobs than this. Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We mentioned it before, but the flowers are still standing.
Mhm. Mhm. Ray says, Gozer the Gazarian, good evening. As the duly designated representative of city, county, and state of New York, I order you to cease any and all supernatural activity and return forthwith to your place of origin or the nearest convenient parallel dimension. And Venkman says, that ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
Love it.
The smart ass Ray.
Um, again, Vankman playing his
That's my
Vankman
last.
role
Yeah, that's my last one.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No job is too big. No fee is too big. And then I'll run through a couple. That's a big Twinkie.
Big Twinkie.
Okay, who brought the dog? There is no Dana, only Zool. And
Right.
what a lovely singing voice you have. Um, you said, yeah, I've seen shit that'll turn you white. This is one of my favorite ones. But if I am right, and we can stop this thing, Lenny, you will have saved the lives of millions of registered voters, which is very relevant to
Yeah, that's true.
this time. Hey, where do these stairs go? They go up. Well, whatever it is, it's got to get by us. Go get her, Ray. So amazing. When someone asks you if you're God, let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Hmm.
Sorry, Venkman, I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought. Another Egon gem. Nobody steps on a church in my town. I feel like the floor of a taxi cab. The superintendent's going to be pissed. Who are you guys? We're the Ghostbusters. Who does your taxes?
Texas.
And then, and then my favorite, my absolute favorite quote from this movie. Listen, do you smell something? I love that line so much. I don't know why, but it's every single time it's my favorite line from that movie,
Yeah,
and it's right at the beginning.
I personally like the who does your taxes? I
That's so brilliant too. Like
just think I
the lack of self-awareness for what you just went through. It's like, no,
yeah,
who does your taxes?
I think Lewis actually is my favorite character in the movie, but I digress. You're canceled. So as far as like what will we change at this point? Jana said something interesting. So like the part where Ray's pants are being unzipped by the
The
paranormal
ghost.
ghost, that maybe would be changed a little bit around. I mean, I don't know. It seems I think it's
Why? Why?
I don't know.
Like, do you know her logic behind that? I'm curious.
I think it was more of like a I don't know, overtly I don't really know. Maybe it was like overtly sexual and like he's kind of being I don't want to say the word I'm thinking of, but
The R word that you're
kind of
thinking
being sexually assaulted,
by a ghost.
but he's not mad about it. So I guess maybe that's where what
So
she was
it's not. So it's okay. I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't know.
perhaps. Okay.
Perhaps it's okay
Well,
since it's paranormal in nature. I don't know. Whatever.
the only thing I would say is like as far as like, and it's a change of subject because I'm not sure I agree with that, but maybe CGI probably could be improved a little bit, but like all the practical effects are amazing.
I love them. Like, could you improve on them? Sure, but like, do you have to? No. I mean, again, like I wrote down, and again, it's typical for this movie's 40 years old. Like, maybe some more diversity because it's really just like it's Winston, like Dana's the love interest, and like Janine's the secretary, and then other than that, it's just a bunch of white guys. Like, so, like, you know, probably, maybe. I'm just saying.
No, I think you're yeah, probably right. Or at least bringing Winston way earlier or make him part of like the core group from the get-go.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah,
So that's actually a good segue because the next category, another Spider-Man. Again.
love it.
So I was thinking about recasting this and this is I'm doing a very unique recasting here and I
That's good because I went chalk.
oh did you? Okay.
I went chalk on this one. For the
So
most part, I went chalk, so it's good that you went unique. So this will be a good back and forth.
well so the way I kind of did it, this makes it even more unique. So I'm not sure this is going to work well, but we can each have our own segments and maybe I'll throw my ideas in. Let me just tell you what I was thinking. So I kind of broke this down based on like groups of people that could fill in these roles like together as a group. And the idea was like, are we recasting this for people that are in their 30s? Are they in their 40s? Or are they like the young up and comers? So like so I
I
have
did I did 30s because for the most part, everybody was in their 30s when they made this, with the exception of Harold Ramis, who was 40.
right. No, that they're all in their I mean, except for Rick Moranis, who's actually they're all in their 30s.
Moranis is 31.
31.
He's the Moranis is the youngest one.
He is. And Aykroyd's like crazy enough. He's the second youngest. He's 32.
I know. It's crazy.
So Murray's 34. Sigourney,
Eggnog's the old one.
yeah, Sigourney Weaver's 34. Um, William Atherton's 37, which is
Mhm.
crazy. He's in there. Ernie Hudson's 39, and then Harold Ramis is 40. So
Side note, Ernie Hunt. Have you seen Ernie Hudson now? He looks fantastic.
looks the same.
Oh, he
Like
looks amazing.
it's amazing. All right.
Anyways,
So I'm just gonna go. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna give you my age grouping. I'm gonna read some names, and then you can go and share some. We'll kind of go back and forth. Let me start in the 40s. And again, I think it's because of like when you think about groups of people that are always in movies. The reason why I associated this, or the reason why I came up with this, like this, the way I group these actors and actresses together, is that I thought about like the way this movie kind of came about. And again, friends from SNL, friends from SC TV, and just SC period Second City. Um, I thought what would be a fun grouping of people that are always in movies together. So in the 40s, I thought about like the Jason Segel group, and I'm not sure
okay.
I'm not sure I actually have. particular roles they could all play. I can probably figure it out right now on the fly, but all right, I'll just do it on the fly. So I think Jason Segel would be so it's Jason Segel,
Seth
Seth
Rogen.
Seth
Yeah.
Rogen, Craig Robinson, Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Dave Franco, Emma Stone.
So I had some of these names written down already.
So I'll just place some of them places. So Emma Stone obviously is Sigourney Weaver, is Dana. I think she'd be a fucking awesome Dana.
I think she would be too.
Just so
I
you know,
totally agree.
actually my favorite woman that I've cast in all the age groups. I think that Jason Segel would be a really good, honestly, probably like Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ray.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Ray.
I think Seth Rogen would be a good, probably Peter. He could probably fall into different roles there. Actually, I think he's better Winston, frankly. Frankly, uh, I think that Michael Cera could play a really good Lewis.
I had him written down as Lewis.
Did you
He's
really?
on my he's on my list. Michael Cera's on my list as
All
Lewis
right.
because
Okay.
why not? Because totally.
I literally just wrote all their names down. I was like, I'll figure it out when we're talking. So I'm glad we're doing this. I think Dave Franco would be a great Ray. No, I'm sorry, great Peter. Great Peter.
Yeah.
And yeah, Seth Rogen actually wouldn't be bad as Walter Peck.
I think Seth Rogen would be a good Egon.
Jonah Hill is a good Walter Peck. Just a dickhead FDA
Yes.
guy. Okay. That's my 40s. You told me to do my 30s and my young kids.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
so now into the 30s. So the 30s is more like the Teller group. So I think Miles Teller is a good Ray, or I'm sorry, a good Peter. Miles Teller is Peter. Um,
Okay.
I think that Zac Efron is probably a pretty good Ray. I think Michael B. Jordan could, I mean, I don't want to like make this about
You
Ray.
don't want to make him play Winston,
He
but
could be
like
really good at Winston. I think he also could be really good at Ray also.
he could, yeah, he could play a multiple for sure.
Yeah. I put in there Chris Evans, and he could probably play a really good, I think he actually play a really good Winston. Maybe Egon. Glenn Powell, I'm not sure where Glenn Powell plays in there. Maybe Lewis. Jesse Plemons would be an amazing Egon.
He's an Egon. He's an Egon for sure. Yeah.
And then I got Mackenzie Davis and Aubrey Plaza, and I obviously we could duke them out about Dana. Uh,
Okay.
I actually I think Aubrey Plaza would be amazing as Dana. I
She
still
might be she might be too dry.
Yeah, Emma Stone. She actually might be a better. What's her name? Your favorite. Um,
Janine. Aubrey
Janine.
Plaza would be a
Aubrey
fucking
Plaza would be
fantastic
amazing
Janine.
as Janine.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, that's
right,
cast. That's
okay,
done. That's
right.
done.
All right, and then I had like the young like crop of people. So like, so here's some of the names. So Joe Keery. Do you know who Joe Keery is? He plays.
Yes, I know who that is. I think he is. Yeah, I have him on my list.
Okay, so I had Joe
I
Keery.
won't tell you for what, but I have him on my list.
Okay, well I had Joe Keery playing probably either Peter or Ray. I was thinking more Peter. Jack Quaid could play
Yep.
Ray. Taron Egerton, I
Yep.
think could play a really good Peter.
Yes, you
Like
could.
he's a fucking smart ass dickhead. Um, Austin Butler, I think he'd be really good Winston. To- Tom Holland, I had as
Lewis.
probably a really good Lewis. Yes, I had Tom Holland as Lewis. Anna Taylor-Joy and also Florence Pugh. I had Anna Taylor-Joy as Dana, and I had Florence Pugh also as Janine. That was my backup Janine.
Florence Pugh's such a badass.
And there's a real quick tangent to the young people. I also think we could just take every Stranger Things kids and put them into, or now they're young adults, and just put them into these roles. Like,
Hmm.
like think about it. The show, which I know is intentionally created because of the creators are so like enamored by like the early 80s, mid 80s like movies, horror movies, whatever. the roles are basically created for Ghostbusters.
Yes, they are.
So, all right. I said a lot of things. This is not like way we do this, but now you name yours and we can decide about the ones I randomly pulled out of a hat based on
All
age.
right, so I'll start with I'll go down the list. I'll go Winston again. I went chalk, so I went Winston. I have two names. I went Hannibal Buress and John Boyega,
Okay.
and I love Hannibal Buress. Um,
Okay.
Walter Peck. I have two names, but I prefer one. So I have Emil Hirsch, but I have Jonathan Groff
I
as
love
Walter Peck.
Jonathan Groff. Like he's amazing.
He could play a fucking dickhead. Lewis, Rick Moranis. You know I have Michael Cera. I also have Rupert Grint
Yeah.
and Thomas Brody sang Snagster.
Okay. Yeah. He's from
But I probably like Michael Cera the most. Or Rupert.
no, yeah, I definitely like Michael Cera the most on that one. And Walter Peck,
Um,
Walter Peck, I think that we probably go with Jesse Plemons.
I think I mean it's either it's Plemons or Groff, but because I love Jesse Plemons.
Oh man, that's so
I
tough.
love Jesse Plemons. I think he would be fantastic. I think either would kill it.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
say
they both be dickheads, and Plemons would play it more like aloof, and Groff would be more like like kind of pretty similar to Atherton. Like I'm in your face, like I want to ask you. Yeah, so both would be good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dana, I've got Kristen Stewart, Emma Watson, and Brie Larson.
Let's go or
Emma
oh wait,
Stone's so
Emma
fantastic.
Watson.
Emma Watson.
And I think I like Emma Stone better personally.
I think I like Emma Stone better than all of them. Egon.
Yeah.
So Egon, I had Joe Keery for Egon, but my favorite is probably Paul Dano. Dano.
Paul Dano is really good. Okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
then for oddly enough for Ray, so I had Jesse Plemons for Ray,
Okay. All right. I can see that.
but then I had to give a shout out just because I've seen a lot of the previews and everything. I had to give a shout out to Dylan O'Brien for Dan Aykroyd because he plays Dan Aykroyd in the Saturday Night movie.
Have you seen that movie yet?
I have not.
I want to see it. It's got
I
Diesel in
do
it.
want to see it. And then for Peter, I'm very proud of I have Dev Patel,
Yeah. He's yeah.
but then my favorite is Pete Davidson.
Oh, I think yeah, I don't hate Pete Davidson. Like, he's almost too sarcastic.
I think he would. I think he could do it.
I'm thinking of okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna say that's Pete Davidson is fine. I'm gonna actually vote advocate for Miles Teller. I think he would be so good at it. I'm imagining okay, I'm thinking of the scene when they're in like the in between the museum. Bill Murray is like doing that weird little skip around. Can you not see Miles Teller doing that? Miles
I
Teller.
could see Chris Evans doing that more than Miles Teller doing it.
Okay. Here's a bonus. Who should play Gozer in the remake? You said
I
her name.
mean,
You already said her name today, by the way. The answer, there's one answer, and you said her name already.
it's no. It's Olivia Wilde
That's not
because she played Gozer in Afterlife,
okay. So I
and
have
she was fucking perfect for it.
okay. Well, I have to see them then, and maybe that may be the right
It's
answer.
Olivia Wilde. That's my answer.
That's fair. The right answer before having seen the new movies is actually Kristen Stewart.
She would be good too.
She actually has gotten that haircut before, like that. Like that's
She does, and she's a fucking badass.
badass. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
she is. She's a
Well, I
badass.
see the new ones, which again, sorry I'm going to spoil later on. Tomorrow's another day, but I've not seen the new ones yet. I added them to my list because I'm poor. I'm a poor teacher, so now I can watch them for free to stream them. But before we get to that, speaking of streaming, to stream or not to stream, is this better as a TV show? I will say first of all, the real Ghostbusters is one of the best TV shows. That it ran actually from 86 to 91. Like it ran for 5 years. Um, and also. the Netflix has greenlit a new animated series called Ghostbusters. They announced it in 2020, but apparently they haven't actually released it yet. It's been in development since then.
COVID.
COVID things, the writer strikes, but Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan of Ghost Corps, which is a person like involved with the whole programming, are
Hmm.
executive producers. So, we'll see if that actually is a thing. So anyway, having said that, do you think this is better as a TV show or just a movie?
So I had some thoughts, and I said, as much as I want to say yes, I have to say no.
Yeah.
I think it's better than the movie, and you have not seen them, but I said, but a big reason why I say that is because of the two recent sequels. I'm speaking specifically of Afterlife and Frozen Kingdom, and like how they just kind of tie everything together. Like there are so many callbacks to
Yeah.
the original movies in those two, especially Afterlife, that it just it does such a good job of kind of tying everything together. Afterlife was admittedly just a bit of a stretch, but I'm sorry, Frozen Kingdom was a bit of a stretch, but Afterlife was very well done.
I've heard that those movies are amazing at like nostalgia. Like they really lean
Yes,
into that big time.
they lean into that hard, and it's great.
Yeah, which
For for my opinion, it's great. Some people may not like it. I love it.
I think that from the perspective of our generation, I'm sure I will absolutely adore the movies, and I'm really excited to watch them for sure. I think that also is like one of the like maybe the biggest reasons why people maybe don't enjoy it as much as perhaps the originals, is that the originals were super original. They're creating again this spin on comedy and horror or suspense, whatever you want to call it, like ghost stuff, supernatural stuff. And the new ones, I don't know if they don't do that very well, but that's kind of like been like the most
I,
common like area of like maybe like why people don't like it.
I don't know. I feel like, especially Afterlife, like I feel like that did a really good job of towing that line, but then also like so many callbacks to the originals.
Yeah.
So and like some are there, like if you blink, you'll miss them. Callbacks to the originals. It was that well done, and that's subtle at times.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will watch them at some point. And let's talk about that now because the next category, last category is Tomorrow is Another Day. So Ghostbusters 2, which again I already mentioned, I love. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's a really great movie, and I enjoy the smattering of the goo, and then the taking over of the Statue of Liberty, and I don't know. I just the I don't know. I really
It
enjoy.
is a silly sequel, I'll tell you
It's
that much.
super silly, and they really lean into the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah, totally.
They remake this in 2016, and it's with McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, and Chris Hemsworth. So obviously the genders were all swapped.
Kate McKinnon is fucking amazing in that movie.
I
I'll tell
don't
you that much.
I don't know that she can not be amazing. She's great
But
in every.
she is amazing in that movie.
So
Let,
Ghostbusters
yeah. Yep.
Afterlife, and here's a real quick synopsis. First of all, it's directed by Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son.
Yep.
It has Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, or Annie Potts, and Sigourney Weaver all in it.
Yes, it does.
And the plot is when a single mom and her two kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind, which is that
It's
Egon?
Egon. It's
Okay.
Egon.
And then Frozen Empire just came out recently, and the is again with Bill Murray, Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and now it brings back William Atherton, which is
Yes, it does. Because I think he's the mayor of New York at this point in time.
good. And the synopsis is when the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters, new and old, must join forces to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. So, like, that is essentially like the storyline of what happens post Ghostbusters 1. Would you change that in any way, or do you have any like improvements or like new ideas? And the answer can be no. Like this
I
is
don't think so. I honestly like what I wrote down was complete parody because it was funny. I said Peter and Dana get married, they have a kid, and the kid becomes possessed by a 10th century lunatic because that's basically what happens in Ghost. Like that's not what happens in Ghostbusters 2, but like it's kind of what happens in 2.
I am Vigo the Carpathian, Vigo the oh yeah,
Vigo,
Vigo,
oh,
oh.
Vigo, you've been a very bad monkey.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what anybody says. I love
I
Ghost.
love Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
Like, do I love it more than one? No, but do I appreciate it? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really funny, especially
It's re- it is really funny.
if you can just be like, let's not take this too seriously because it's a movie about Ghostbusters. I think that's like their sweet spot. And sadly, I think a lot of the people in the movie, including Bill Murray, have said on the record that like they kind of wish the sequel didn't happen. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. Maybe it wasn't critically acclaimed or it wasn't well received or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm entertained by the movie big time. I think it's funny, it's silly, and um it's a really good follow up to like the Ghostbusters cartoon. If you ever watched that, I mean, we've mentioned it a couple times. It's really living in that world of like ridiculousness. It's fucking people who are trapping ghosts, like it's supposed to be silly and not taken
Yeah,
seriously.
it's silly. It's make believe.
All right, nerd facts. So in the middle of the film's initial release, to keep interest going, Ivan Reitman ran a trailer that was basically the commercial the Ghostbusters used in the movie, but the 555 number was replaced with a 1-800 number, allowing people to actually call in. And when you called in, you got a recording of Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd saying something basically that to the effect of, "Hi, we're out catching ghosts right now." Apparently, they got 1,000 calls per hour, 24 hours a day for multiple weeks. I would have called.
Amazing. I totally would have called. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Just to see what they say.
Yep.
Almost none of the scenes were filmed as scripted. Most had at least one ad lib. Most of Bill Murray's lines were obviously ad libbed because that's just what he did.
That's how he rolls. When Venkman mentions the time Spangler tried to drill a hole in his head, Spangler's response, "That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me," was actually again ad-libbed by Harold Ramis.
I love that line too. It's such a sneaky good line.
Yeah, yeah.
Harold Ramis only intended to write the film. He decided to play Dr. Egon Spangler after he felt that he was the best person suited for the role. And he was.
Yeah, and RIP to him. He actually died. So again, he died in February 24th, 2014. And fans of the movie paid tribute to him by visiting the New York City firehouse that was used in the exterior shots and created a makeshift memorial featuring Nestle Crunch bars, which was a reference to Venkman giving Spangler a candy bar. Twinkies, which was again in reference to Spangler using the Twinkie to describe the ghost problem in New York, and collection of spores, molds, and fungi. So they added it all together from Ghostbusters, and I think that's a pretty amazing
So
tribute.
at the end of Afterlife, there's like the movie kind of fades away and it says for Harold. So
Yeah,
they dedicated that one to him, which was pretty cool.
as they should.
Exterior scenes of the Ghostbusters headquarters were filmed at Hook and Ladder number 8 Firehouse in the Tribeca section of New York City. Inside the firehouse are the Ghostbusters sign and photos taken with the cast and crew.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean,
Hell
that's
yeah.
kind of the same. So like Up in the Air was filmed at Afton High School.
Right.
And when they came in, I remember that with George Clooney and I think who's the direct is that Reitman? I think Reitman's the director of that. I could be totally wrong. That's actually not right. Up in the Air was anyway.
Hold on. Quick research.
Cut that. Um,
It was Anna Kendrick, Vera,
Yeah, I was right. Jason Reitman. Huzzah. Jason Reitman did in
Jason
fact,
Reitman.
Jason
Right.
Reitman did in fact direct that. And they came through the school. A lot of like scenes are like actually filmed in the gym, and there's pictures of George Clooney like wearing Afton basketball shirts, like bicycling in France. Anyway, that's just a fun fact. I would do the same thing as they did. Um,
Absolutely.
the character of Winston was meant to have joined the team much earlier, and apparently it was going to be slimed at the hotel with Murray. When Eddie Murphy declined the role, the script was rewritten to have Winston appear about halfway through the film. So they're like, you're not Eddie Murphy, so we're gonna not put you in earlier, which is, kind of sad. Winston's great in the second movie.
He's great. Scorty Weaver recalled, I once had a fire in my apartment after the movie, and the fireman who came to put it out, one of them opened up my refrigerator and said, Whoa, you better call the Ghostbusters.
No dogs in there.
Very impressive. That's very unprofessional. Look at all the junk food.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver, apparently her floating is an actual physical effect. The actress was put in a full body cast and attached to a post hidden in the curtains. And this is according to the DVD commentary. The effect came from Ivan Reitman's Broadway appearance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When Louis Tully mingles with his party guests, commenting on the price of the salmon and so on, the scene is one continuous shot and almost entirely improvised. That's impressive.
Man, he's I'm saying he's amazing.
He
He's amazing.
steals the show.
I agree. On the set, Dan Aykroyd referred to the Slimer ghost as the ghost of John Belushi. Slimer's gluttonous eating was based on apparently Belushi's scene in Animal House in
That's
19.
awesome.
Yeah.
Harvey Comics, the creator of Casper, sued the producers, claiming the ghost in the logo was too close to the Casper logo Fatso. The court ruled against them, saying there were only so many ways to draw a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck off. The terror dogs that came to life were actual statue designs of an old church in Philadelphia. And those dogs are fucking creepy as fuck looking, and they're even more creepy when they come to life. It's weird.
And why would they be in front of a church?
I mean, who knows? Those churches are weird.
And you mentioned it before as far as being the highest grossing comedy of all time, and it was until Home Alone in 1990. Damn you, Macaulay.
Damn you, Macaulay. Do you have any nerd thoughts?
I mean, not much other than the fact that like this movie totally holds up.
I was gonna say the visual effects hold up, and my thought though, when Bill Murray says you didn't say the magic word, in my head I was like, oh, is it the first time I've heard that? Is it the most popular time I've heard that? And
Please.
the answer is no. It's Jurassic Park, obviously. You didn't say the magic word.
You didn't say the
I,
magic word.
I had never heard that before, and I did some research, and I can't find a time. I know it's been said before, but on screen that was like the major thing. Um,
Probably.
Personally, I want to know more about the science. Like I don't need to know more, but I would like to know more. That makes sense. Like this is the only argument for why this would be good as a TV show, and that they could actually explore maybe like the creation of like the trap, or like the actual like packs, and like how this really does work.
Yeah, and they never really touch on that. Like I'm thinking because I've seen some of the sequels that you haven't seen, and like so the one with like Leslie Jones and Nate McKinnon and all them, like they have some other different ghost trap gadgets,
Yeah.
but again, they don't really explain how they work. And then in Afterlife, just the nature of the movie and how it works, it's like you kind of get into a little bit of that, but again, it still doesn't explain how everything works.
Yeah.
Like what's actually supposed to happen. Like you hear Egon references like, oh yeah, based on these new readings, I feel like we could actually like contain and actually like trap and actually contain a ghost. What new readings, Egon? Please explain more. Like nothing.
Yeah, I would like to know more about that, which
I
is
would love to.
super nerdy, but
But again, like,
yeah,
what is the science behind that? Because if there was actual science behind that, then like we'd be doing it.
yeah. The last thought I had was the worst part about this entire thing would be the cleanup of the Marshmallow Man.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine that would be, the fucking stickiness nonsense would be
Well,
fuck.
and also like the top of the building just exploding and all of that rubble,
There's
and
that
then the Marshmallow Man too.
mixed with the marshmallows, just
Just terrible, sticky terribleness.
absolute nightmare. All right, well, that was a fun episode. Nerd Outreach. Thank yous. I don't necessarily have anything to
I'm
say.
going to say it's belated, but a happy belated birthday to our good friend of the show, Pascal Gonzalez,
Yeah, for sure. And John Waka,
and John Waka, friend of
same
the show as
birthday.
well.
Yeah, they've both been on here and just celebrated a co-birthday a couple or last week.
And
So
then, honestly, also on the same day, oddly enough, that day has three birthdays. My niece, my older brother's daughter, Katie Lambert, 16 years old. Happy birthday.
happy birthday for
She's
sure.
probably not listening, but he is, so that's all right.
Andrew will be there. So, yeah. Obviously, we love our listeners, so rate, share, tell people about it. Send us show suggestions. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can watch all of our episodes, Nerd Takes, Nerd Bites. We got some more episodes coming up pretty soon. The next episode preview, it's time. We're gonna do the
Is it time?
fifth anniversary of Star Wars Episode One, The Phantom Menace, and also probably talk about at some point why the most recent Star Wars episodes have ruined my life. So, um, it'll be a fun episode, but also it may end negatively. So that's how it goes.
I saw this in the theater when it got re-released with with my older brother and his son, my nephew. His
I've seen
and
it many times, and
yeah,
yeah, so
we saw it on opening night together
we did.
25 years ago.
Good.
Yes, we did.
To be discussed later on.
Yeah.
Till then, everybody, thanks for
Bye
listening.
bye.
Bye bye.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Oh, you are. Did I freeze? Did I,
Yeah.
did I freeze?
Well, either you froze or I froze. I don't know who froze.
All right. Well, we're back now. Let's try it again.
Whoa. Hold on, wait, yeah, because it said my internet connection is unstable. Awesome.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it was me that froze. All right.
I
Take
don't.
two.
I don't feel bad. Go ahead.
All right. Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call the professionals. Ghost.
Ghostbusters. Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all of your supernatural elimination needs.
We're ready to believe you.
Believe you.
Oh, that was brutal.
That was terrible.
Let's try it again.
All right. Take
Hold on.
three.
Hold on. Whenever you say like and call the professionals, let's go one, go.
So we can like we'll do like hand signals. Like got it. All right.
One, go. Okay, all right.
No. Five, four.
Stop nodding your head.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah. 2008. I mean,
2000 and late.
I have no idea. I mean, as the kids say, the aughts, sometime in the aughts. So
I hate that.
I do too. I'm just it
I'm
was
not that old.
well, that's true, but I don't even know what that means. You know what that means?
Zero. That's what they used to call like so Shawshank Redemption when they're talking to what's his face? The guy with a bird.
Yeah,
What was his name?
yeah.
That's gonna bother me.
Hold on. It's
It's a
Brooks.
B, isn't it?
Brooks.
Brooks. He was like you hear him say he was like, well, they sent me here in '05 and I became librarian 19 and 12. So like that's what they used to say about 1905 was '05, '06,
Mm,
'07.
okay.
And now they're doing it for the 2000s. So I mean, so it makes sense, but it's just I hear that and I think 19 I hear the I think 1906, 1907, not 2006, 2007.
I don't think I ever knew that that was what that meant. I think I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
just learned something new.